Okay.
So, we've had over 100 women over the years.
Really?
Yeah, it's been 16 years now. So,
Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darell Scott. It's going to be a fun time with these ladies. They've been around 16 years. They've played with folks like Stanley Clarke, George Duke, Jonathan Butler, Kirk Franklin. We got a whole lot to get to because there's a whole lot of them that are going to come through. And I have no problem with that. So we're going to try to get to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in heaven because I'm surrounded by beautiful women. You know me, I gotta love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now on the screen, you will see Gail Jhonson. You'll also see Joyce Spencer. Gail is the executive director of the band called Jazz in Pink. Gail, Joyce, welcome to the show. I'm just the host. Gail is the producer. So drive the show, Gail.
well, we are very happy to be with you this afternoon, this stormy afternoon. I'm in Los Angeles and Joyce is in Dallas, and we're both experiencing thunderstorms right now, but it's okay because we're hot pink in here. We're good and dry, and we're all safe. And so we're glad to be with you. Thanks for the invite and all that good stuff. Like you said, we've been together for 16 years. It's an ensemble of women all across the country. We've played all around the world, the islands and all that good. So we can't wait to go back to like Jamaica and Hawaii and some of these other places. But it's been a great experience to have a collective of women, especially now. I mean, they age ranges from 23 to 60. We're an audience of and a group of women that are passionate about music, and that's what we do primarily. I don't think anybody has a regular day job. If they do, it's some kind of part-time thing to supplement the music. So it's been a journey. It's been a ride, I tell you that. But let's meet some of the ladies
Yeah, I was
that
going to say.
we
So, Gail, introduce yourself and say what you do and what your
okay.
role is and all
Okay.
that sort of stuff. And then we'll go to Joyce and then,
My name is Gail Jhonson. I'm the keyboardist, pianist, synthesizer player, and they call me the first lady of smooth jazz. I co-founded this group with the flautist Althea Renee. We were on the smooth jazz cruise, and when I found her, I was like, "Hey, where in the world have you been? I should know about you." Um, because I know what I've been doing. I've been working with various artists, and namely Norman Brown. I've been working with him for years. In fact, I was on a cruise with him. And when I saw her in there doing her thing, and I was like, you know what? We've got to join forces and make a platform for women to come together and showcase their artistic talent. So that's what we did. We got together the next day. We had a manager on board, Keena Hubbard, and I and Althea talked about it. And next thing you know, that was in February. So come September, we had a gig. Um, we were down in San Diego, and then we had a manager, and everything's been history now. It's been 16 years. So I'm the director now. I've been music director for quite some time until I turned it over to Robin Bramlett, our bassist, but she's not with us right now. She's with us sometime part-time, but so I've been taking over all the duties. And then recently, I guess about 2019, we also incorporated us as a 501c3 so that we could showcase our philanthropic work. and doing programs for leadership, musicianship, mentorship, all that good stuff. So that makes me the executive director of the group. So uh, with all these titles and all these hats, I'm all in my pinkness. And
And
that's
what
what I
instrument do you play, Gail?
I play the keyboards.
Okay.
I play
All right.
keyboards, piano, synthesizer. I also play something, you may have seen some photos of me playing what they call the keytar. And the keytar is a keyboard, but you have it on like a guitar with a guitar strap and it goes
Yeah.
around, like a guitar. So
Okay.
yeah.
Now let's go to the lovely, talented, and parked Joyce Spencer.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. As you said, my name is Joyce Spencer, and I am a saxophonist, flutist, and vocalist in that order. But and I did not go to Berkeley. I just went to McNeese State University in Louisiana, got my music education degree in saxophone, and it was during college when I added the flute. I didn't mean to take it seriously, but it kind of wound up that way. And then I took a 20-year hiatus where I got married, raised children, and I said, now it's my turn. I went back to my first love. And when I heard of jazz, when I came back to music 14 years ago, Jazz and Pink was one of the first groups I noticed, and I was thoroughly impressed because Karen was the violinist at the time, and Althea Renee, and I was so impressed. I said, you know what, I love this. And I said, I would love to be a part of this. But as years went by and I just kept growing and evolving and developing not only my musicianship and recording music, I got familiar with the business side. So now I'm in Dallas, and since then I have evolved into being a part. I'm one of the newer kids on the block, and I'm part of Jazz and Pink, and I'm so honored to be a part of this. And I have my own Sade tribute band, and I have a cover band called Joyce Spencer and Expressions. So I think it was off the air how Gail said that we're full time. I am full time. So sometimes we have to be creative because we spend a lot of money getting out a professional track, which today I just released. If you don't mind me doing a selfish plug,
go right ahead.
Today I just dropped a cover of Eddie Harris's Kodak Time, my arrangement. And the reason why I'm so excited about it, because for the last 14 years on and off, I've been trying to learn how to record my own music. Mm-hmm. And I actually did all the track arrangements, everything. But when it got down to mixing, I did some mixing and I was overwhelmed. So I turned it over to David McLaurin to do the mixing and mastering. But that dropped today, as a matter of fact.
Oh, and, I have been waiting for that track. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, today I'm sending it to you. And what I'm so excited about, I know Yvonne, Eddie's daughter, and I had been telling her for Gail, I've been working on this over 2 years. 2 years. Mm-hmm. It was a dream, 2 years, and I've been working on it for a year on and off. And when I sent it to her before I released it so her family, her sister and her mom could hear it, and I got some really positive feedback. And after I got that, then nothing else mattered, basically. So it was a song that every time I did it, the crowd loved it. So I figured I would cover it. And it's really special to me because now that I know Yvonne and we've been talking for, 5 or 6 years now. So she's best friends with my cousin in Los Angeles. And that's how I got to know her. So that's what I've been doing for 14 years, is coming back and just keep evolving and learning the business. I jumped into 6 feet of water without knowing how to swim.
Know what you're talking about. Know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna lie, I made some mistakes, and sometimes I need to vent. Right, Gail?
Yeah, absolutely. I had to vent. I had to call my girl up and I had to say, I just need to talk to you for a minute. And so that's what's nice about Jazz and Pink is that, we salute each other and we support each other like on our birthdays. And, You know,
Yeah.
sometimes when you just, like I said, it's a sisterhood that you can just talk to someone that knows and
Mhm.
understand the nuances of what goes on in this business. And it's not easy. And so you really, really got to want to do it. And you can't do it for the money. You have to do it because really your heart is in it.
Okay, there's one more member on the line. We're going to try to get her mic unmuted.
Well, that is Kevina Franklin, and she works on our management team for Brooke Alford. And Brooke just left the meeting because she has
Yes,
a family emergency. And you
right. I
may
saw
have
that.
heard a little buzz go off, and that's because on my end, we have a national weather service warning. So,
Okay, so
Mhm.
we're going to
yeah.
move through this as quick as possible because I also know that Joyce has to go. So first of
Sure.
all, where did we come up with this name, Jazz in Pink?
Well, I did. I wanted to marry the music of jazz with the female principal, and I don't know. It just came to me. I was like, oh yeah, jazz and pink. And I talked to someone, and someone that a magazine owner out here, and she said, Gail, do not name that band Jazz and Pink. And I was like, you are crazy. I was like, I love that. I think it's a great name. I think, and I was wrestling with it for about a week, and then I said, no, my spirit is telling me, hey, this is it. So, hi, Kavina.
Like Kavina, turn your mic on so we can.
Hi,
There we go.
everybody. How are you?
Hey,
And Kavina's brought a friend.
yeah.
Yes, this is
Hey
my
there,
nephew.
baby.
Say hi. Yeah, he's a music lover for sure, and
Uh,
hopefully we can get him introduced very well to Jazz and Pink. He is very familiar with Miss Brooks' music already, and
uh,
he's been to several of her concerts, which is a bonus of being related to somebody who works for her. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to work in
So
radio to go to different shows.
mhm.
understandable. So
Co-
I'm also a flautist, and Brooke and I work together with one of the nonprofits that she's involved with, which is called Henry for Music. And that's how she and I met. And through our involvement with Henry for Music, which is based in Atlanta, Henry County, actually, Metro Atlanta, she was like, hey, I have some events coming up. I'm going to play with Jazz and Pink. And I'm like, that sounds cute. She was like, yeah, and it's all women. I was like, oh, yes, that's really cute. So, Gail, I'm very happy that you stuck with your gut feeling and went with that particular name for Jazz and Pink. And then as Brooke and I worked more and more together with her artistry, she was like, I see bigger and better things for not only myself, but my involvement with Jazz and Pink. So maybe we can collab with Gail and gel some things together to bring attention and awareness, and not just like to audiences, but also to internal customers. Bring
Yes,
more
absolutely.
artists with
Yeah,
particular artistry to Jazz and Pink.
It,
yeah.
Gail, you mentioned that through the test of time, the 16 years that you all have been together, that there's probably been 100 women. Why do you think the 99 other women have wanted to be involved in something that you started?
Well, I think women need a platform, and once they find out that, okay, there is a platform for them to be exposed, they're like, oh yeah. And once they hear the positive, notes from what Jasmine Pink has been doing, they want to be a part of it. So, I'm glad about that, especially the ones that are up and coming. They want to come in and show off and do their thing and say, "Hey, I'm ready. Let's go." So it's a platform to get started, but after a while, people move on and they have their solo careers. Like Karen and Althea, that they already had their solo careers. Maria was just kind of getting started with her solo career, and now she's taken off. But so that's what it's about, and to come back and share what you got going on, and that's always a good thing too. So
Okay,
yeah.
let me throw this one to Joyce. It's, I think it's a hard question. Don't mind me. Why do you
Okay.
stay? Well, I mean, is why do you stay? What about Jazz and Pink makes you go, I will always be involved in this group?
Well, you heard the pedigree that she mentioned. She's been around for 16 years, and being a woman in this business, and being a woman playing horns. I was one of those in high school when I went from clarinet to saxophone. Nobody told me that was a man's instrument, so it was shocking. I just thought it was cool. I said, "Well, this is easier than my clarinet." And so my second year in college, when I decided to major in music and focus on, because I'd never had a private lesson in my life. I played in the marching band. I realized that it was very difficult when a woman takes, if you're just there in a marching band and you're supporting a system, we were fine. But the minute you decide to take this seriously and become a professional, or hone in on your craft, if you will, you're treated differently. And I remember really nailing an audition, but I didn't make it. You know why? Because the director of the jazz ensemble at university said he didn't want any girls and any women in the band, and I actually nailed it. And so when he was hired, the audition was already done the first time, but when it was time for another one, I did not make it. And so I ran to my dorm and cried. And I came back and I said, okay, it is what it is. So when we auditioned for the wind ensemble, those groups toured. Long story short, again, I got third chair and I knew I nailed it. So I got bold and I said, hey, I want to challenge the first chair. Do you know the men got together and wouldn't let me challenge it, just put me there because I was ready. I said that to say that's why I love Jazz and Pink, because it's actually very comfortable to be around a lot of women who are like me. It's not a sorority, it's not Greek, but it is, in essence, it is. And all these women are professionals. They're amazing at their craft. They're just amazing. And to come, iron sharpens iron.
Right.
So why would I not want to be with a group of women who are professionals, who are focused, who love playing and love traveling? Say, I love to travel. I'm ready to go. So if they say, if Gail says we're going to Dubai, I'd go there too. But you know what? I'm ready because I'm at a point in my life that I'm full-time. I don't have any little kids and to raise, they're grown now. So I'm ready to go. And so that's why it's just a really positive thing and I remember the very first gig I did with Jazz and Pink, I had 4 days to prepare. Remember, Gail?
Yeah.
Oh.
I came in and nailed it. I said, go ahead on.
I said, can I have my iPad on stage? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And I had 2 other gigs that week. And I remember I went on a break and I was practicing Symphony in Pink. Pink Symphony, I'm sorry.
Pink Symphony.
Pink Symphony. And I was like, okay, I said, okay, I can get that. Going to the next one. All right, if I do this. And I told her then, I said, do you know how amazing it is what you're doing? Do you know how amazing it is for an all-female group? That, to me, that's just incredible. So I've always been impressed with Gail, even when she didn't know who I was.
How could you not know who you were?
Well, I just came back in the scene, I just came back and I was still feeling my way around. So I think that because when I saw the level of skill of the women in the group, I realized from the very beginning, you're going to have to bring it to come in this group. You got to bring it. And I had some work to do, and I just kept working on it. I had to release some recorded music, and but I'm just one of those people that if I don't have the money to spend on a whole bunch of stuff, I make sure that I use what I have, and I'll make it so good you think I had a whole lot of money.
Okay. All right. I want to do this real quick. Kevina, you understand the dynamics that they were talking about earlier.
Oh, yes.
When you heard those dynamics, were you fearful, or was there more of a fight you wanted to put up with that you wanted to do to get in the band? You see what I'm saying?
I definitely understand. I think for Brooke being in the band, I think it really supported what she already goes with as far as her own artistry is concerned, the perseverance, the wellness. She's very into health and wellness, especially when it comes to women and women's empowerment. Because one of her quotes, one of my favorite quotes by her is, "We perform at our best when we feel our best. And when we feel our best, we look our best." So it all encompasses one thing. And that's being at our best selves, from the point of wellness to the point of artistry on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that intrigued her when we first started talking about her involvement with Jazz and Pink is that, like Joyce said, there is a pedigree of women that are powerhouses, that are not just there because they have a stage command, which Brooke also has, but because they are invested in themselves in terms of making network connections, things that better themselves personally and professionally. So to us, Jazz and Pink is a platform for self, for women's empowerment, and for jazz music itself. Like Joyce and Gail said, each of these women have accomplishments in their own rights. They're all jazz winning artists, charting artists. So I think the fight is the fight within itself, which is compelling.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you not try to be your best self when it comes to perfecting your own artistry?
Okay, I like
So
that.
I think
We're going to take a quick break. That's fine. We're going to take a quick break. And what I mean by a break is I want folks to hear your music. These some powerful women, and I think that's a needed thing in this. But I will ask this: it's a male-dominated music genre.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those attitudes? You know what I mean? And that's for any or all of you. You can, I'm sure there are times. I know a couple of musicians who are a little, they're women, they're not going to be that good. But then I know a couple of musicians who are like, give me their number, we'll get them to play on the show. So how do you feel about the male competition?
Well,
Gail?
it takes some, it definitely takes some massaging, I'll say. Once, guys see that you're serious and, that you're professional, you're there on time, you do what you say you're going to do, they'll start respecting you. And once they kind of read your resume, we have some people that are in acting, and in, like I said, in education. I'm working on my doctorate right now. And so once they see that, because the guys give each other a hard time too. I used to
Mm-hmm.
think it's just the guys, being really hard on the girls, but it really is, they're hard on each other too. So we really always want to go the extra mile to say, hey, I deserve to be here and I'm adding and contributing something to this group.
Do you ever feel, I'm just going to say this, some man walks up to you and says something that is somewhat derogatory. Do you ever just want to throat punch him?
No, they'd be like, "Oh, you play good for a girl," And then, I started copying that. And then a friend of mine said, a fella, he said, don't say that. You play good for a person that plays good for a keyboard player. So don't say
Right.
that you play good for a girl. Yeah. So no, I understand that, I mean, 'cause it's just cultural chauvinism. They'd be like, "Oh, okay, so you play in the band. So what you gonna sing for us tonight?" And I'm
Oh, yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
that's a
Yes.
big one. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to sing. I'm going to direct the band. I'm going to direct these fellas up here. That's what I'm going to do. And they go, okay.
So you all are from all over the United States in different places.
Right.
Yeah.
I love to see rehearsals, but if you're in Los Angeles, somebody's in Atlanta, somebody's in Dallas, somebody's in, I don't know, wherever they are. How do you rehearse? How do you get ready for a tour? How do you get ready to record a song? How do you do that?
Well, technology is a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our basic foundation of the rhythm section is here in Los Angeles, so we're able to rehearse often. When we use other artists like Brooks or Joyce that are across the country, or Paula Atherton or Althea out of San Antonio, or our guitarist Kiana, she's out of New York.
Yeah.
We meet up and we have what I call an air rehearsal, and we just go over all the parts, and everybody's rehearsal their own. And when we get the sound check, we have time to review the music and run things down. And that's how we do it. And after about several shows, okay, we got it, so it's not so scary.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think it would be scary, but I would be a little nervous because this is my thing. Because when I was in radio, everybody was going to one studio. That the entire band was in one room, so you could work off the human side of this. But now, with all the different places, does it ever get a little quirky because you want to say something to somebody, or you hear a bad note, or you hear a different note, or you hear something that you really like and you want to go, I don't do that. How do you overcome that?
Joyce?
I think I understood. What you're saying is that if you hear a bad note on the stage, how do you handle it?
Yeah, we can go with that. The bad note on the stage.
Oh, well, I have this thing that perfection is overrated. Why is it that when a newscaster will stumble on a word and it becomes a blooper and it goes viral and everybody just loves it? But if we have a blooper, for some reason, it's like, oh my God, like she just sang in the Super Bowl. Y'all help me.
Oh, Alicia Keys?
Alicia Keys. Do you know, when I listened to it, I didn't hear the crack, but that became a thing. And I'm like, wow. But when we were in Austin, the power went out on us while we were on the stage in the middle of a song. And what did we do, Gail? We made it work.
We made it work. We're like, okay, just like women, this is what we do.
Okay, so now I go, how did you make it work? It was all like acoustic, so to speak?
Well, I think at first, Gail, everybody was out. Gail was out, Brooke was out, I was out. But I think Kiana on guitar and the bass, they were still in. Yeah. But then they went out because we were trying to do, and I was trying to do without a mic, really couldn't hear me. I think we were doing Cold Up. And we were doing something. And then they lost power. They couldn't hear them. So I picked up my soprano sax and just started a sweet melody. Like a ribbon in the sky type melody, if you will. It wasn't that. But, and my husband was like, he said, when people started, you could hear the mumbling a little bit. But when you started doing that, it just calmed everything. And so when the guitar, I think Kiana got hers back. And of course, Tiffany was on the drums. And Gail just whispered, "Start Cherish." I said, okay. So... And then one instrument at a time came in, but we just handle it. We don't just go around and like, ooh, look, you missed a note, or ooh, this. I'm amazed at this is what I like to say. I'm amazed at what we do when we get the music a few months ahead of time. We work it on our own. When we get together, we're ready.
Yeah,
I'm amazed at that.
Yeah.
That's
sometimes
what I
we
look
have
at.
Rehearsals. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we can have rehearsals built into the situation, and so that works out nice. But sometimes we don't. So,
Right. And I will say that one of the particularly special things about missing a note is, again, we're building off of our artistry. So, us being professionals in our pedigree, we understand that a missed note means an opportunity for another note to be implemented.
Absolutely.
Right. Preach, girl, preach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what you do. If you end the song and Gail ends the song and nobody saw it,
You don't see
Yeah,
what you
we
don't know.
have little remedies and little library things we know we can kick back in to
Well,
make
we
make
make
it
it
seem,
work. Yeah.
yeah, to make
But
it work.
nobody, we do. And I think that's part of the professionalism, because this is live entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
And even Beyonce had a power outage on one of her shows on tour. This is live entertainment. So I think you have to be ready to be flexible.
Yeah.
I will say
You
this:
just have to be ready.
there was
Mhm.
a comment made about perfection.
Mm.
I'm a Virgo. We're perfectionists. That's all I'm going to say. Um, we're going to take another pause here, and we're going to listen to Jazz and Pink do Sisterness, I believe is the correct way to pronounce it.
Yes.
Take a listen to this on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Here's a bigger question. Everybody's got a side hustle. Each one of you has a side hustle. How do you balance your schedule between touring, doing your own thing, doing the thing with the group, with family, studying for your doctorate, all this stuff? How do you manage all of this? Children, the whole 9 yards, and you still put out a tremendous quality of music.
Yeah. Well, that's what women do. I mean, our rehearsals are like potlucks, you know. We have grilled salmon and salads and sandwiches and water. You know, with the guys, it's just some chips, maybe. And you know, so we are prepared to have babies and strollers and little puppies and all of that stuff around. And so we know how to multitask, and we just allow time for all the things that we need to do, take care of our families, and you know, take our kids on the road. You know, I remember having my son and nursing him while we were at rehearsal. So it was like I had my little covering, and we had rehearsal, and dude wanted to nurse. So, you know, you just make it happen. And you know, we find, you know, hours in the day to do, you know, little side jobs and things like that. I
Right.
used to work at for what, 12 years. I worked at Musicians Institute, and I don't know how I did it. It wasn't full time, it was part time, but it was enough hours where, you know, okay, I'm going to get some Social Security out of this. But I also
Mhm.
went on the road. I traveled around the world with Norman Brown and with other artists later on. And, you know, was able to raise my daughter and, you know, put her in private school because we got stuff we got to take care of. We got to buy pink stuff. We got to buy makeup. We got to buy pink lip gloss. We got to just be ready for all the things we need to. And even if we do have husbands and other friends and family support, which we need wholeheartedly, we just work to find a way to make all things happen.
Absolutely. And I would say, I would echo that and add that us making time for a more balanced society between patriarchy and matriarchy allows us to really feel fulfilled, like having the joyful laughter in the background, having the kids just sit there and be tuned into what we're doing. Like those are our first audiences that we get to engage. So if we can capture them, then we know that we're on the right track.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. All right. What's next? What's going on? How can we follow? Well, just what's next? Because you'll have a Jazz and Pink kind of silo, and then you'll have your own personal silos if you're doing your own personal stuff. So either one of you, what's next?
Well, we got the Berks Jazz Festival coming up.
In PA or the one in
Yes.
Virginia?
No, in Reading, Pennsylvania. It's a, really, really big festival. They have over 19 stages, and so we'll be there April 7th, and we're very excited about being there. Of course, Brooke Alford will be a featured artist on the violin, and Paula Atherton will be a featured artist on the saxophone. and myself. So we'll be flying out of here on the 6th, and we'll get together and go over the music, do our thing on the 7th, and probably fly out on the evening of the 7th because we're done early. So that's what's next. We got a new website. We revamped the website, jasminepink.com, but
Mm-hmm.
we also have jasminepink.org for our events that'll be coming up. And one big event that'll be coming up will be our golf tournament. And that's in the first week of September. But in the meantime, what we have is Brooke Alford presents Wellness for Women. And so that's quarterly. So that'll probably come up first. And then and we're always looking for sponsors to help us with our programs with the youth. And one program in July, August that I like to hold is the music explosion for kids to, come in for a 2-day kind of music camp. So we're hoping to have that. And then, of course, at the end of the year, we're hoping to go to Jamaica. We'll be in Jamaica second week of October, and then it'll be time again for the Christmas fundraiser for getting toys and stuff for the youth. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Kevina.
that's beautiful. Kevina, and
Kevina, excuse me.
oh, well, thank you so much. I would love to share that Jazz in Pink is unique in what it presents because each of the artists we each have our different uh, avenues that we're pursuing for individual careers. So, like Gail said, the wellness workshop that Brooke is on, that's actually part of her 2024 New Day tour. And she has some of the tour dates, such as the one in Pennsylvania with Jazz in Pink. And there are educational workshops that she puts on. She's an international teaching artist. And Jazz in Pink will be also doing some educational workshops. So you can follow Brooke. You can get to her website at brookealfordviolin.com. Actually, each of the artists that are connected with Jazz in Pink, Joyce included, you can find their info on jasminepink.com.
Okay.
And yeah, just follow along. There's
So
a lot of great things coming up.
after this part of the conversation, I ask an obvious question because I'm old. When do you rest, relax, take care of yourself? When do you do that? Because you're always going concerts, this, that, and the other thing. What do you do?
yeah, you just have to find time. It all works out. We don't have to do everything every day. Like where I'm sitting now, and I'm in my office, but over to the right of me is my studio. So either I'm working here in the studio producing something, or I'm downstairs at the piano, or I'm in the garage at the rehearsal studio. So I just try to make time. I really kind of have a schedule, like a couple hours on this, a couple hours on that. And so it gives me a break from having to do any heavy lifting on any one thing. And man, we just managed to get it done, you know.
And, and
It's having time to be yourself authentically no matter what time of day it is. So
Yeah.
even if I actually saw this on Oprah Winfrey over 20 years ago, dating myself, but she said, you know what, find time in the day to care for yourself, implement wellness. So that wellness workshop actually talks about little things like that 5 minutes that you take because you just woke up. Focus, meditate, be yourself. That 5 minutes, that 10 minutes that you have after rehearsal, that's your space to recenter, to make time. And some of us use digital calendars where we have to block it in, but do what works for
Yeah.
you. And that's exactly how Jazz in Pink is so cohesive, because we do what works for us and then we form a collective so that we are doing what works for the collective us.
I,
Mhm.
I'm gonna embarrass myself. Kavina, were you watching a VHS tape? Because you ain't 20.
I've recorded many VHS tapes
Okay,
myself.
because
I even know the hack about recording over the recording.
ladies, this has been a pleasure. I want to stay in touch and keep me in the loop about whatever you got going on, whether it's the individual stuff, the Jazz and Pink stuff, everything.
Mhm.
The email address is in the chat. Um, we'll post it. We'll get all of our listeners and watchers to be aware of everything. But this is tremendous, and the music is really, really, really good. I've enjoyed this. As I say, I have learned things. Um, which is always the goal of this show, and always to make sure that people out there are aware of what you do. And everybody has their own story. So this has been an absolute pleasure of mine. I don't know, I might play this a couple of times and just listen to it again. So
Absolutely.
we'll go from there. Once again, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. You have been listening to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Most of the time, this knucklehead is Darell Scott. We will talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darell Scott.